Hello, friends. Welcome to Josiah Venture Stories. You will hear incredible stories of life change from the mission field and be inspired by the movement of God in Central and Eastern Europe. I'm your host, Gwen Gardner, and I am so excited to share today's conversation with you. Today on the show is Lee Humerian. In 2014, he and his wife Katie led a mission trip to the Czech Republic to do an English camp. During that same trip, they visited Ukraine for the first time to learn more about Josiah Venture and see its various ministries in action. Simultaneously, God gave them a heart for global youth ministry and what he was doing through Josiah Venture in Ukraine. In 2016, they took another team to Ukraine to do a music camp. After leading these trips, they felt an even stronger draw to serve full-time and moved to Ukraine in June of 2017. As a touring musician since 2012, Lee has a passion for music and the impact it can have on people, especially youth. Katie has a heart for youth ministry and seeing young people follow Jesus. In Ukraine, the Humerians have served together on the school's highway and also helped organize and lead grief and trauma healing retreats for Ukrainian church leaders, pastors, and their families. During the first 3 months of the war, the Humerians lived in Czech and were involved in humanitarian aid and refugee assistance with JV and local European church partners. Now, since moving back to Ukraine in June of 2022, Lee leads the evangelistic ministry programs team, and Katie serves in human resources. They have 2 daughters, Jessie and Jamie, and I'm so excited to have you on the show. Welcome, Lee.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Gwen. It's an honor.
You're welcome. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. I am stoked. Summer is in full swing here, so pretty incredible.
Yes. We are going to jump into all the different summer things and all of that. But first, is there anything else that the people need to know about you right here at the beginning? Anything you want to share about your family or any fun facts you have about yourself?
No, we're doing well by the grace of God. Hopped in to summer camps directly from a month of home assignment, which was quite the blitz. But we just finished Fusion Camp. We got a week here to kind of rest and recover. And then next week, our youth group at our church is doing a separate camp, which we'll be a part of as well. So yeah, just a pretty typical summer in the life of the Humerians, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, all camps all the time and home assignment and all of that. So
yes.
And how old are your girls?
Jessie turned 7 on June 6th, and Jamie Jamie turned 5 July 23rd.
Oh, so you got some summer. Oh, man, lots of happening in the summer.
We all
birthdays.
within like 2 months, we all 4 of us have birthdays in the summer. So it's quite the we've got a budget. We've got a budget throughout the rest of the year for those 2 months. Yeah,
for all the presents and cake and all the things.
Exactly. You can't give one of them a great party and not the other. So it's, we want to keep it as balanced as we can. And we love, giving gifts is one of our love languages. We love to do thoughtful gifts. And so for our kiddos, it's definitely something that they enjoy as well. So.
Oh, I love that. Well, Lee, we are going to just go back a little bit. I need a little bit of your origin story before we can catch up to where your life more currently is right now. So I would love to know just like what your journey of faith has looked like. Can you please, talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would call it using Friedrich Nietzsche's the idea of a long obedience in the same direction. I grew up in a Christian home, and I'm an only child. Grew up in the church, and it's been kind of just a slow growth of formation throughout the years. I would say I can look back over my life and kind of see different points that were really important for my formation as a man and as a man of God. And so I would just say that there's been a lot of mentors along the way, a lot of different people that have invested in me and helped me just learn how to be more like Jesus every day. But I wouldn't say that there's necessarily been very many of those like, oh my gosh, this moment, everything changed. Right. It's kind of just been a slow, hopefully, well, not always going upwards, but it's been, kind of a little bit of a roller coaster at times. But so, yeah, I wouldn't say that there was kind of like, oh my gosh, I had all these addictions and stuff, and then I met Jesus, my life totally changed. It's more of a slow increase, I would say. And then, yeah, just many different people like have just been so crucial to my formation that I can't list them all here, but definitely without many men and women of God around me, there's no way I would be here in Ukraine today.
That's so great. I love to hear about like the community that God provides for us as believers. Like we really need one another, right? We can't do this on our own.
Absolutely.
But and that's great too. Like some people do have that, like, oh, I remember the specific day and the specific time and all of that. But also I love what you're saying, just that long obedience in the right direction with some roller coaster moments, obviously.
Yeah, some loop-de-loops in there, you know.
We got some
big drops.
loop-de-loops. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, before you joined Josiah Venture and started your missionary journey, what was your life like before that? Because I know you were a traveling professional musician, so I would love for you to share more about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was in a band for about 9 years and full-time music for about 5 of those, like full-time on the road, full-time recording and everything. And that was an incredible time of my life. I'm very fond of it. I think of it often and still keep connected to the guys. Just saw them all actually in December of this past
fun.
year. And so definitely something unique. When I was at Biola University for my undergrad and I met the band there. They were already formed. I went to a show, really loved it. And I loved their mission. It was like they wanted to be a metal band that was intentionally going into the metal scene, which can be pretty dark at times, going in and have a lot of people that maybe have been wounded by the church or wounded by Christians, or it's just there's a lot of wounds in that scene. And so we wanted to go into the scene and bring the light of Jesus there to a place where probably not a lot of these people will be stepping into a church on their own, of their own accord. And so that was kind of the mission of the band. And so I was really fond of that and really loved the music, loved the live show. And then when their drummer was leaving, I just started, like I set up my drum pedals in my dorm room, bought some, double kick pedals on Craigslist, probably annoyed the entire dorm just like on my desk.
My gosh,
I just had it like set up in front of my desk, so, like pounding away every day because I was like, this is the least advanced part of my playing. I need to get to a different level in order to play in this band. And so did a tryout, made it, and then just from 2008 May of 2008 is when I joined the band, and then I left the band. Actually, I mean, moving to Ukraine was like the leaving of the band, but I had just recorded drums for one of our albums, I think our 4th or 5th studio album, and so I was a part of kind of the marketing for that, even in the first kind of 6 months of being on the field, which was a little hard because there was kind of this looking back as you know, moving to a foreign country and uprooting your life and rerouting it into a place that is foreign in many ways and culture is different and everything. It was incredibly challenging. And so having kind of this like thing that I was still involved in back in the States, or something that I was really passionate about for many years, because I didn't leave because I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. I didn't leave because I didn't like what I was doing. I left because I felt called to leave. I felt called to leave the band and move to Ukraine. And so during those first months, there was definitely a lot of looking back. I felt like Lot's wife at times where I was like, oh man, I'm leaving this life behind. I didn't turn into a pillar of salt, thankfully, but
good.
I did, clearly. But I did feel that in the early months. And so once the record was out, and kind of was able to turn the page a little bit, then it was definitely a little bit easier. And I think at that time too, it kind of coincided with kind of getting through some of the initial culture shock and cultural challenges and just challenges of moving to a new place. First time Katie and I have worked together after several years of marriage. So a lot of things to adjust and adapt to. But being a touring musician, really loved it. Loved getting to meet new people. Loved getting to encourage people while we were on the road. Loved getting to be with the bands every day that we toured with and try to share the love of Jesus with them. and then getting to visit various different places and states and countries and stuff was also it was really fun.
Countries
really,
too.
really fun.
You like
miss it.
You did different countries too. Like you toured different countries as well.
Yeah, so our first international show was in Quebec, Canada, and so Montreal, and then we did all the lower provinces of Canada, and then several European countries before I left the band. The band has since done Japan, which is cool.
Oh,
I missed
cool.
out on that
Yeah.
one, so a little jealousy there, but
but
it's
you know,
fine.
jealousy, but support on the sidelines.
support.
Like, oh, yeah,
Exactly. I'm their biggest
What's the
cheerleader.
name? Yeah, what's the name of the band?
Phineas.
Phineas.
So it
That's
comes
right, yeah.
from Numbers 20. Phineas, the son of Eleazar, the grandson of Aaron, the first priest of Israel. Obviously, that's where it comes from. No. So it was like, he was zealous he had zeal for the Lord. And so that was kind of the idea of the band name, was like, wanted to be zealous for the Lord in places that were maybe more challenging for people to have that zeal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're still touring today.
Not necessarily active, still a band, but not actively touring. As I left, the band was still going on an upward scale. They ended up doing Warped Tour, I think the summer after I left the band. Their latest album is the only one without me, but I think it's the best one. So it's pretty incredible. I'm looking forward to that one.
That's right. That's right. That's really cool. Yes, as a fan. Yes, exactly. And that you can just like keep remembering. Sometimes it's like, oh, my life before seems like it can feel like so foreign, but also like you can also like celebrate all that God's done to even get you to where you are now and all of that. So
absolutely. It was a big part of my formation. I mean, so many things I can tie to, like even now doing audio at some RJV conferences, or
playing drums and worship for our conferences too.
Worship, so there's just so many different things. Katie jokes all the time about not thinking I would ever use any of my touring experience ever in any future jobs. And yet when we came here, like we led the ministry exit tour, which was literally a touring music thing. So it was so ironic that, these kind of unique experience I had really did translate pretty well to what we got to do together here in Ukraine. So
then how did you first hear about Josiah Venture in your life journey?
Yeah, Katie got a job at Fullerton Free Church in the high school ministry department as one of the upper class leads. And one of her initial things that she would have to do was lead a foreign mission trip for the junior class going into seniors. So summer foreign missions trip. And they had gone to Ukraine and partnered with JV for probably a decade up to that point. So we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. Figured the church loves this. I've heard only good things about this trip. And so that was we were supposed to lead a team to Ukraine in the summer of 2014. We visited Lviv and got to meet the Williams, got to meet some of the team. That was right when Christy Owen had moved. That was right when there was a lot of new, like there was a small team at that point, but it was starting to really grow and blossom. Fusion had just launched. We went to the first rehearsal, one of the first Fusion rehearsals in Lviv. And so we got to see a glimpse of it, but then that was right when when Russia had annexed Crimea, right when the Maidan revolution was happening. And so a war had started, and parents didn't want us taking their minor high schoolers to, a country at war. Understandable, that's a reasonable request. And so we asked JV, is there any way we could go to a different country? And so they kind of gave us a list of options. We had a large team. It was 30 high schoolers. And so we typically had done split into two camps. And so it was kind of challenging to find a situation that would kind of fit our unique size of the team. And so we ended up going to Czech Republic in the summer of 2014 and did two different camps. Katie and I led one, like half the high schoolers, and then some other leaders led the other half. And then one of those leaders was the one in charge of leading the team next year for Fullerton Free Church. And that was like, we loved our experience in Czech. We wanted to go back to Czech. The next year in 2015, we offered to be leaders on the trip the following year. That didn't work out. They didn't need any extra help as leaders. And we were pretty disappointed about that because we really loved our trip we were with the church from Hradec Králové in the center of the country. And so door closed. And then in 2016, Fullerton Free did a huge Love Europe initiative where they wanted, I think we did over 30 or more short-term mission trips to Europe specifically.
No way.
So,
that's cool.
Yeah, which was incredible. And so one of those was a fusion to help do a fusion camp in Odessa, Ukraine. And so the missions pastor, Dan Crane at the time, invited Katie and I to lead that trip. He said, if the Czech team needs help, that's your priority. The high school team is the priority. So we asked the leader, which is one of our close friends, Kelsey, and she said, no, I'm good. I have leaders. Why don't you go lead that trip to Ukraine? And so that was finally a little bit of redemption. We kind of felt like we ditched the JV Ukraine team back in 2014, got to come in 2016, do a fusion camp. And it was at the end of that week that, Christy Owen and Ben Williams had talked and said, hey, we're trying to launch this ministry called Exit Tour, which is like this unique live concert / preventative lecture program that you and Katie seem pretty tailor-made to lead. I was still touring at the time. I got to fill in for a tour to go on that short-term trip so I could be a part of the trip to Odessa. And so I was feeling released a little bit. We were feeling uneasy about where we were at. Katie was working a job that she didn't really love. The band was starting to, it was kind of one of those moments where it felt like looking to the future, we had to cancel a tour. And so it kind of felt like we had hit some speed bumps. And so I just wasn't feeling quite settled anymore in the band. And so still loved it, still wanted to keep going. But when we got that invitation, because we were feeling what we had been feeling kind of in the months leading up to that short-term trip and leading up to that invitation to join the JV team, we really took it seriously. Like, even though we'd only been in Ukraine for 2 weeks, we never had been interns or anything like that. We really took the invitation seriously and really were incredibly impressed with Josiah Venture just as outsiders leading 2 short-term trips. So we took it seriously. We prayed, we fasted, and we sought counsel when we got home and felt like the Lord was calling us to say no to the things that we were doing in order to say yes to a call to Ukraine. So that's how we got first involved with JV. Before that, really didn't know the organization. And so, but now we love it. We loved it then.
Now
and we love it even more now. So,
yeah. So then what was that like? You had not interned. You had served on some short-term teams, because usually those are like the path to Josiah Venture, like either an internship, the typical ones. There's all the, the atypical ones. But like, oh, Ukraine. No, just kidding. Oh, Czech Republic. Oh, we love Czech Republic. Back to Ukraine.
Right.
So what was it that was like, oh, Ukraine really captured your hearts? Like, what was that for you?
I think it was just the invitation, honestly. I think Ben would joke with us about it, after we joined the team here. He was like, we never thought you guys would say yes. We just put the invitation out there, just thinking like, there's no way that they're going to, leave what they're doing. And so honestly, like, it was a step of bold faith from Ben Williams and Christy Owen and from the team here to say, hey, let's invite them. So we're obviously grateful they did, because that opened the door to something that we had been thinking about. We never wanted to be full-time missionaries. That was never on our radar. Never wanted to leave the States. But just receiving that bold invitation and I would say, because it was something that really we felt that this is a ministry that we could work together doing for the first time, doing something like side by side with me and Katie, and also something music related, something youth ministry related, something that we both have, like we could use our unique giftings together. And that was something that was really attractive, I would say, but also like scary, and so having that call was really important. Having that, we both separately felt like it was a yes from God. And then anyone, the counsel we saw, the pastors in our lives or the people, our mentors, people close to us, like for them, they were like, yeah, of course you guys would do this. Like, this is totally in your, in your guys' character. And we kind of were like, oh, really? Oh, okay. Like, so we really felt one of our pastors, Pastor Chris Twightman, that I worked at a church in Huntington. When I was home from the road, I would work at a church as a tech director, and he told us that call is kind of a 3-part thing. That obviously you need the call from the Holy Spirit, but you need to be sent. Like, the people around you need to agree that yes, this is something for you. And then the people that the third part is the people receiving you. There needs to be like an invitation, right?
Invitation, yeah.
Yeah, it can't just be like, oh, I'm here, I'm called, and it's just like, what? No, you're not. Like, we know why you're here.
Called where?
So,
yeah, where?
Right, exactly. Called to, yeah. So we had all three of those things. And so that was really just reassuring throughout the whole process. And it happened so fast. Like we got home from that trip of August 2016, applied in the middle of that month. After feeling like we were called, we got the application, filled it out, because it was like, if you want to go to orientation in October, you need to fill out the application by August 15th.
Right, yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, this is a big decision that we had like 2 weeks to make, less than 2 weeks to make. Orientation in October, and we prayed for 100% of our support in 100 days and got it in like 97 days. So before
cool.
I think the new year, or before February, had 100%. Like the team thought that was obviously ambitious, right? And so they had kind of planned on us not coming for a while, but
like, just what?
Once we got that, we were like, well, can you come sooner? But we had committed to our jobs. Like I was working at the church. I had to record an album. So I worked at the church through Easter, and then we did training, recorded the album. Katie left her job, and then we moved to Ukraine. So it was all like, we moved to Ukraine in June of 2017. So it was less than a year of like receiving the call in August, and then 10 months later moving to Ukraine, and then having a kid 12 months later. So literally in a 2-month span, our lives just completely different, which was as wild to think about.
That is wild. So that was 8 years ago. So you've been in Ukraine for 8 years now.
8 years, yep.
So then when you first moved to Ukraine, your role was with Exit Tour. Like that's what you came initially to do. But what does your local ministry look like now? What's your role look like now? Let's jump to now. 8 years later, here we are.
8 years later, a lot has changed. Obviously, COVID shut down Exit Tour in Ukraine. And then we were, we tried to pivot to a more smaller scale school ministry. And I was also the international exit leader at the time. And so we were trying to just kind of be innovative. Like literally, I became the international exit leader March of 2020. So I was supposed to go like do this big meeting. Everything shut down. It was like, oh, like we can't do anything in schools now. What are we going to do?
Yeah, schools are closed. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not the best timing ever, but we started doing smaller scale school ministry stuff. Always dreamed about resurrecting Exit Tour. And then when the full scale war began, that just became, out of the question. And so we could probably restart Exit theoretically, but like also if we like got to the school in the morning, set up everything, we're all ready to go, and then a siren started, and we have to go to the basement, and we just wasted the whole morning, setting up. So it's like not incredibly viable. It's risky to do. Right. So maybe in the future, I believe in the future, Exit Tour will resurrect in Ukraine.
Yes, we can pray for that. We can pray for that.
It is dead and buried currently here, unfortunately.
Here, yeah.
But it's alive and well in countries like Romania and, Czech Republic and places like that. So by the grace of God, Poland. And so when we left Ukraine for the first 3 months of the full-scale invasion, we were just doing humanitarian aid work, receiving refugees at two of our bases there in Poland and Czech. When we came back into Ukraine, we were helping lead a trauma renewal retreat ministry for churches and leaders and pastors and stuff. It was going to be people like basically they had invited the Ukrainians that were part of our exit team to lead that and someone else to kind of help them. But we felt like, hey, we've led these exit kind of workers for the last 5-6 years at that time. For that first summer we were doing that. We were helping churches do camps. We didn't even think camps would be on any church's radar, but churches wanted to do camps. And so we helped churches do camps. Our local church our Fusion did a camp, which was wild, that first summer of the war. And then in September, because Christy Owen had stepped out of her role, stepped out of JV, she had led the S team, which is like the ministry specialties teams, or the evangelistic ministries that we have, which are music,
the highways,
camps, the highways. Yeah, exactly. She was leading that team. And so when she stepped out, there were a few people that could have led it. I really felt like that could be something really cool and a good next step in kind of my leadership journey. I really was passionate about wanting to try it. And so since I think it was September of 2020, I've been in the role, 2022, I've been in the role of S team leader and have been absolutely loving it. It's come with its challenges, but that's what I do now is I lead that team. I get to lead the leaders of each of those highways, but then I also get to kind of be involved in different team meetings and just kind of be a team member, like let the leaders lead, but still be present. And that's just been out of necessity. Like we just need more staff members. Like our Fusion like music director, Fusion Ukraine music director got mobilized in the Ukrainian army. So it's like,
exactly.
They need help musically, so I can help. We just had another teammate just in the last week get mobilized right before our Fusion camp.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So super brutal. And he was the director of our large Spring Fest, like outreach of a conference that we do every spring. So now I'm thinking like he was kind of my right hand guy on my team. And so now I'm thinking, okay, now how do we restructure? We lost, the day after we lost Vlad, our Fusion music director, we lost Andrei got mobilized into the Ukrainian army, who was leading our Edge sports ministry. So it's like, okay, helping try to rearrange the pieces with what we have, but then now it's three S team, like important
Leaders,
S team workers that have been mobilized. Two.
And they have to like go immediately, right? Like they're just
off the street. Yeah.
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 Wow.
Absolutely insane. The fragility of everything amidst the war, like that's just part of it. Like in an instant, you can lose a pastor, you can lose a leader, and that's like our leader, new JV Ukraine leader, Sasha Dubovik, their junior high leader just got mobilized last week, and they have camp starting in like a couple of days. So it's one of those things where, in an instant, the whole there's such a leadership vacuum because of that situation. Because either leaders are being mobilized, or they're afraid to get mobilized, and so they can't be as present as they would like to be. And so that's one thing that Katie and I feel so like. Our call in Ukraine, I don't have that risk. I can be present. I don't have to be afraid of being present. And so that ministry of presence, or just being present at things, is so we can't take that for granted, and we don't, and so even like Fusion Dairy 3 years ago, I was the only adult male to be on the bus.
Right.
It's like, but that's the reality, is that adult males can't leave the country. And so going there and back on the bus is like, I'm the only man, and that's not how it should be. You can feel the brokenness. It's like, man, we have so many phenomenal male leaders that to just stay home, and so
it's like, this is not how it should be. Yeah.
This isn't how it should be. Yeah. It's definitely it shows, you see the brokenness of the world up close, and so I've been in that role, but also kind of filling in where needed in other things as needs have come up, or as people have unfortunately, gotten mobilized.
Right. And I know I was even hearing stories of like the Ukrainian interns this summer. There's 5 of them, and the males can't leave the country. So they did their own like intern amazing race and their own like intern training, just so they didn't have, there's a risk of mobilization even of those interns. Like,
right.
Wow, it's wild.
It is wild. It impacts everything, and that's a bummer, because the girls could have gone to the international amazing race, to the international intern training, and would have liked to, but they willingly sacrificed that for the sake of being together with the guys on the team, because it's 2 girls and 3 guys. And so, so we tried to be, Kendra, our intern leader, had innovated, kind of took some of the stations from the amazing race and tried to replicate them here, and tried to make it like equal, and so that they could kind of race kind of pseudo race together. And I think our team got 5th or 6th place or something, compared to the other teams. So
time wise,
exactly, time wise, based on how long the stations took, etc. And so she tried to, we're trying to like say yes to, like, let's try to make it as a part of the international thing as much as we can, while it's understanding that it's not, it's like, it's our own little Ukrainian, our Ukrainian amazing race and Ukrainian intern training. And so the one thing is that, I guess the gift in that is that it kind of opens up, like, Ukrainians that don't necessarily speak the best English could just be a part of that, could like join the team. They'd have to be afraid of going to an English intern training. So it expands their horizons a little bit to include more prospective candidates. But on the other hand, it's like, that international feel is actually a big part of JV DNA, right? And so kind of getting that, and kind of going out of your home country to go to that intern training, go to the amazing race. You're doing a race in a country you've probably never been in, it's a big part of it. So there is certainly loss, and
Right,
that's
right.
just, there's a lot of loss that you just have to kind of cope with
Yeah.
and deal with, and kind of admit that that's just part of the gig right now as missionaries here in Ukraine. And so, but Kendra did a phenomenal job just trying to
For sure. Yeah.
replicate as much as she could to create as close of an experience as the real Amazing Race and real intern training that they would have had they been able to leave the country. So, but that is
Right.
one of many things that has to be kind of sacrificed from the Ukrainians.
A lot of sacrifice over the last, many years for
Absolutely,
Ukrainians.
Yeah.
Wow. Hello, friends. I'm quickly interrupting this episode to tell you about our online prayer room. Every major spiritual movement in history has been fueled by passionate and persistent prayer. Our team knows this and has experienced firsthand that prayer is essential to seeing God move mountains, change lives, and transform society. The Josiah Venture Prayer Room exists to deepen your connection with God and equip you to pray for his movement across Central and Eastern Europe. You can download our free mobile app for iPhone and Android today, or you can go to the website pray.josiahventure.com. The links to these resources are in the show notes. We hope your time of prayer will be the best part of your day. We expect you will leave the prayer room feeling more refreshed than when you went in because you have been in the presence of God. And now, back to the episode. Well, the summer ministry is in full swing. Camps have been happening. Interns are here. Short-term mission teams have come and gone. All the things. So, like, what are the highlights for you for like the camps ministry, summer ministry in Ukraine? Or what stories have you heard?
Yeah, I typically am involved with fusion camps. And so over the past, since we got here 8 years ago, I don't think there's been a summer that we haven't been a part of a fusion camp. And so fusion camp is a unique monster. It's so hard.
I love fusion camp. Yeah, it's hard.
It's a hard camp, but man, it's so rewarding. Like when, I play drums. I teach drums at fusion camps typically, so last week we were at our church's fusion camp, and I'm the band leader, and so kind of seeing kids that have never held drumsticks in their hands before,
right?
Go from literally like, how do I hold this, and how do I hit the kick drum, to on day one to playing in a concert 7 days later is a miracle. Like
it's the fusion miracle.
It literally is like, if you don't believe in God, just work in fusion and you're like, there is a God. Like there is a God.
Yes, amen.
There's no way these kids should be able to play a song 7 days after they pick up an instrument for the first time. So definitely it's a stressful thing. It's really hard because like on the fly, you're like literally I'm in a master class with I have 8 students, right? I have 8 drum students, and every single one of them have different levels. Some of them have rhythm, some of them don't. Some of them can hit the drums hard, some of them can't. And so you kind of just have to literally on day one try to like assess their level, like what is their level at now? Think like, okay, in 6 days, how much growth do I think they could have? And then try to help them take those steps from A to Z, right? And and then on the fly you're thinking, okay, I was ambitious. I need to scale that back a little bit. Or they surprise me and they already get that, by day 2 or 3, they're already here. And so I got to kind of create, okay, let's add some more nuance. Let's add some more drum fills in.
Right.
So it's such a unique challenge, but it's so rewarding. Like by the grace of God, typically, like I haven't had any that I can think of. Maybe I've blocked them out from my memory, but I haven't had any train wrecks at like the post-camp fusion concert where a drummer just totally crumbles. By the grace of God, it's that, like I said, miracles.
Have you been there? I love infusion concerts, like typically like the teacher of the workshop, especially the drums workshop, like every song, they're just back there, just like clicking sticks just to keep people tempo, on, right. like the tempo, just like, okay, like keep them on beat. Because if the drummer's off, everybody's off.
It's definitely the backbone for sure. So it depends. So I usually will. So our at our church, our drums are in like a cage or like an aquarium, we call it. And so they have they have headphones on, so I can be outside of it, like with a microphone, helping them set the tempo. So it's less it's less obvious than if I was literally right next to
Like
her. You're
right
like
there.
banging
Okay,
drumsticks,
good.
which
There you go.
that is a thing that I've done in the past too, you know, when it's like when you really need it. But by the grace of God, I really try to, during the week, help them have independence as well. I want them to be independent as much as they can, so that when they get to the concert, they feel like they really played, you know? And so with some of the players, it definitely, I can totally step away. I can go do sound, or I can go help with choir or something like that. But some of them, it's like, no, let me give you those cues that I've been giving you the whole week to remember what the drum fill is that's coming up, or remember to stop playing here, or remember we need to slow down. You know, if you started that song way too fast, like, which is pretty standard, like you have the adrenaline pumping,
you get nervous.
Drummers will just play. You get nervous. You play way too fast, and so it's like, hey, slow down. You know, try to bring the reins in.
So, and then the choir's like, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like we played a 21 Pilots song this summer, and it has like this really fast rap, Heavy Dirty Soul, and it's like if you're playing 1 BPM too fast, it's already too hard for non-native speakers to do the rap. You know? It's hard for native speakers to do it. So anyways, yeah, it's definitely it's a dance. It's a dance, you know.
It's a delicate dance.
It's very delicate, but man, it's so rewarding to see, like, after the concert, like every teenager's buzzing, like, because really, like, we want them to be successful, so we try to simplify as much as we can so that they will be. But man, it's like that buzz after the concert where everyone's so stoked that they accomplished something that they never thought they could, especially the new kids, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a really unique thing about Fusion. And then it really gets them hooked, you know, like Fusion is also it's a safe place. It's a safe place, but it's also a place where they can have like they can see themselves growing and developing. Like, I couldn't do this 7 days ago, you know. That's incredible. It's an incredible thing that you don't get to experience in many places in your life. And so there's something unique about that. And then the summer camp aspect, where it's just this 7-day blitz, that's just, you know, it's one thing to do it over the course of a semester, over 4 months, where you're doing like weekly, you know, master classes where you probably get like, you know, 10 to 15 lessons in, but doing it, you know, in 7 days is just, it's wild. It's absolutely
magical
wild. It's
and crazy. It's exhausting. It's magical. It's relational. It's all the things. And then for like family members or friends in the audience to like see like, whoa, you're a musician. Like, I love it when it's like the parents and friends and they're like blown away, you know, like.
Absolutely. A lot of parents come up to me and just be like, thank you so much. And we're just like, yeah, absolutely. Like,
you're welcome.
Thank you for trusting your kids with that. Yeah, you're welcome. This is amazing, you know, because I can't imagine sending my kid off that has never played drums before, or never played guitar before, or never sung before. And then all of a sudden you're on a stage with lights and it's loud and it's amazing. Like, I can't imagine being a parent, you know, like they're just sitting there like their phone's out like, this is incredible. Like,
I know. Yeah.
Like, how are you doing this? You know, like, so it's definitely a special thing. It is. It's a special and unique experience that I don't know where else I could find that. You know,
I know. No, it's hard to beat. It's hard to beat, especially Fusion Camp. So
Fusion Camp is unique. Yeah. So usually those are the camps I'm a part of in the summer, and so it's exhausting and rewarding, and there's so many emotions, and it's all wrapped into one Fusion package. It's incredible.
The highs, the lows. I love that. And then, so the camp theme, like we always with Josiah Venture, we have a camp theme that goes out to all of our countries. And this year, the camp theme was real life. Mm-hmm. And Lee, you were the one to write like the outline for the evening talks. So I would just love for you to talk about, like, if you could summarize like the heart behind the theme, real life, and then I want to hear your experience, because I know you did one of the evening talks or a few evening talks as well.
Well, I was supposed to do only one, and then I did the gospel night because our spiritual leader said he got mobilized like 2 days before camp.
Oh my gosh.
So it was like, and literally in the meeting that was hours before he got mobilized, he was like, hey, in case I get mobilized, can you take the gospel night? And I was like, yeah, man, but you'll be there. So that was wishful thinking, unfortunately. But so I did 2 talks there, and then I did the follow-up talk at youth group last night on the Sunday after camp. And so it was really fun to write the talks. It was really fun to give the talks, to like actually embody like what I was imagining. Like I was always imagining myself on stage when I was writing the talks, and then to actually be on stage and be like, oh, this worked and that didn't, and so I changed it.
That's okay.
And so
Change it.
so real life is really all about. We looked at the life of Paul in the scriptures, and also just how did he go from hating Christians and wanting them dead or in prison to being a missionary, like, one of probably the most famous missionaries for the sake of Jesus in the history of the Christian church. And so, like, how did he go from, and then, we talk about how Paul had it all. Like, he had a great education, he had money, he had power, he was infamous, right? You go from that to you're writing to churches, you're writing letters to churches from prison or from house arrest, and you're saying that the life you used to have is rubbish. Can't use the word he used, right? It's garbage, it's trash, it's dog dung, I think is the word I used in the camp talks. To you're saying that life was trash, and the life you have now as a prisoner, like having been shipwrecked and flogged and stoned, like that's the life worth living. Like what? Like explain that. How does that work? So how is this real life? Because I think most teenagers and most of the world would say, no, that's like, I want that life. I want the money. I want the power. I want the education. I want the fame. And so it's really kind of trying to unpack, like, why do we believe that the Christian life is the real life, or is real life? And so we unpacked the life of Paul. But one of the things I really felt like, because the theme is real life, I didn't want there just to be generic stories from somewhere, from the internet or whatever. I wanted this camp speaker or camp speakers to use stories from their life, like to go in and say, that to me is always, teenagers, I don't think, not many of them are going to remember about Paul. They're not going to remember what he did and who he was and all the things. They're going to remember the real life stories from the leaders that they know. And that's kind of been my experience over the years. Like, I remember last year, like the guy that shared the gospel, like he was doing the camp theme, reading it, and it was so rigid, and it really just felt kind of like, these aren't his words, right? But then he got into sharing his story of how he repented and believed in Jesus, and he just came so alive.
Yeah,
and so
go
that's
off
kind of where,
and
he went off. He told his story, and so all of the talks have a substantial portion that's just a placeholder. It's my story. I put my own story into the camp talks, but it's just a placeholder. It's like, take this out. Don't tell my story. Tell your story. Your story is powerful. I always think of the verse in Revelation that we will overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Like, our stories have power to overcome the enemy. And so that was my proclamation in my intro to the camp talks to the camp speakers was like, please use your story. Like, put in your story here. It's all from the voice of like, the stories like are all knitted together in the camp talks from my story, but it doesn't have to do that. Like, you just put in your own story. That's the thing that campers are going to remember. Teenagers and young people they're going to connect to that. And so that was the heart behind it, was to unpack the life of Paul, but to really encourage and hopefully equip camp speakers to be able to use their own story to weave it in, and to use that to ultimately share the gospel towards the end of the week. And so that was the heart behind it, was to, like, we can't have the theme real life without having stories from our real lives, right? And so that was kind of my heart in the camp talks. And so hopefully, like, I've heard that the camp talks have gone well at other camps. I thought they went well at our camp. The stories were powerful. Like, I feel like every night, obviously Ukraine's stories, a lot of stories are painful right now. A lot of us were just crying, sharing our stories, crying every night. Like, we had, I think, 4 different people do the camp talks and several others do devotions. And it's just like, man, when you share your story, like, that's like, the speakers came alive. That's when the campers put down their phones. You know what I mean? Like, it was the part where
people are locked in. Yeah.
They were locked in. Right. Absolutely. And so it was definitely, that was my heart. And to get to see that at our camp last week, I learned new things about leaders I've been serving with when they shared their stories during the camp talks. And so For me, it
Wow.
was powerful to listen to other people do that, and it was also just I was thankful to get to do that as well from the stage, and so it was a real privilege to get to write them, real privilege to get to do them, to share them at camp this past week, and yeah, I'm praying that it brought a lot of fruit. Like I think the camp talks are good. The meat of the camp talks is the story of the speaker,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
can't write that for them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so really they really are just an outline. Like it kind of gives you like, hey, this is how you can intro. This is like the story from Paul we want to look at. But the meat of the talks is the speaker's story. And so I'm interested to see at the end of summer how that overall, like the feedback from the different JV camp directors, like what the church is and what the speakers, what feedback they have. I have the conviction that, man, you got to put in your own story.
Oh,
like even
100%.
if you have the full outline,
Yeah.
you got to put in your own DNA into it. So
And I love the line I've been hearing or seeing is like, real life with Jesus is worth it. Like it's worth it. Even
Amen. Yep.
like your life before, even with Paul, with like you were saying, like he had it all, quote unquote, you know.
Yeah.
But that real life is real life with Jesus, and the real life, your testimony, that's your real life. Like use that, share that.
Yeah.
Stories are powerful.
Amen. Yeah, they really are. And so that was the heart, and that was exactly the header of the intro to the camp speakers. Like your story is powerful, and that's
Yes.
like I wanted to equip the camp speakers to really believe that and to try to hopefully model and equip with my story through the camp talks. And so now there's a lot of camp speakers out there now know my story and how I got to Ukraine and some of those things. But for a framework, I hope that it really equipped local churches throughout Central and Eastern Europe to be equipped to share not only the life of Paul, but from their own real lives.
their
as you were
own
saying.
real
I think
lives,
that's where the power is.
God's still telling those powerful stories. So he will
Amen.
always. Well, Lee, how can people be praying for young people across Europe, and especially young people in Ukraine and in your local context as well?
Definitely be praying for young people's hearts to be open to this idea of real life, to this idea that we believe life with Jesus, even though it may not look like what your dream life. We believe that that's the most fulfilling life that you can have. And so pray that young people's hearts and their heads and their ears are open to that message. And for Ukraine, continue praying for an end of this war. I
Yes.
think that is such a barrier to so many things. But the movement of God hasn't stopped and won't stop here in spite of despite war. And so and God's church is growing. And so that's an encouragement. There's so many encouraging stories amidst the sad and the hurt and the loss. But yeah, definitely be praying for an end to the war. And then we always talk about that camp is not just a week, right?
Yeah.
It's a part of the year-long, everyday relationship building process of young people. And so you're listening to this, it's kind of probably camp season is kind of wrapping up. So be praying for those post-camp follow-up meetings. Be praying for those post-camp coffee relationship building meetings. Be praying that leaders that have started or continued building relationships at camp, that those would just continue to blossom, and that the seeds that were sown would really blossom into full faith, and that young people get rooted in the local church. That's always really important for us, that we want young people to repent and believe in Jesus and get rooted in the local church so they can understand what it means to follow him. So that is definitely the way to be praying for our teams and our churches across Central and Eastern Europe. And then for churches in Ukraine too, we have almost 40 camps this summer. And so
Wow.
it's definitely, it's been, it's a whirlwind, and there's so many different churches, so many different things happening. And our camp leaders, Evan and Lena, they're putting a lot of kilometers on their car, driving and doing camp visits. It's incredible. But it's awesome. It's awesome to see God's movement not stopping amidst war and amidst crisis and amidst pain and amidst trauma and loss. But yeah, pray for European young people, for their hearts to be open to the gospel.
Amen. And yeah, year-round ministry is starting up in like September, and it's just like keeps going. And I like what you said for young people to get rooted and connected in the local church, and for it not just to end with a week of camp, but like this can keep going. It's literally like I say, a camp is like the cherry on top of the giant cake that is year-round ministry. Like the whole cake, it's waiting for you.
You need the whole cake. Cherries are good
cake.
and all, but it's not going to fill you up. You need the cake.
The whole cake. Oh, yes. But that's awesome. Lee, thank you for sharing your real life story, even on the podcast today, and for being a guest. And it's just a joy to talk with you today.
Thanks, Gwen. It's been a gift to be with you here. And praying that this podcast would be impactful for the folks listening. So
yes.
Praise God.
Amen to that. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Josiah Venture Stories. For more information about who we are and our vision and mission, visit us at josiahventure.com and follow us on social media. If you have any questions about this episode or would like to get in touch with our guest, please email social@josiahventure.com. To help more people hear about this podcast, please leave us an honest written review or share this episode on your social media. Thank you, friends, and have a blessed day.